happy this evening to have Pearl Cahoon with us tonight. And certainly Pearl is one of our, could say our founding mother here in the United States when it comes to faith and life. And so I would like to ask her to come forward and say a few words.
I am so happy to be here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I am so happy to be here. I'll repeat it. But now I'm wondering what I'm doing up here. I have one country, the United States of America. And Springer Lane's got 80. What in the world am I doing up here? But I will tell you just how we did get started in the United States. I was working for the Diocese of Cleveland with Father Phil Pritt. I was his secretary. When John Vanier asked Bishop Hickey whether or not we would plan a pilgrimage to Rome. And being in the office for, forgive us, but we called it the apostolate for the mentally retarded at that time. We did change later. But, so naturally it was handed over to our department. That was Father Phil and myself. So Father Phil had no idea of whether anybody was going to be interested in a pilgrimage to Rome. But he and another priest, Father Jim O'Donnell, they went and they got 2 airplanes and put their money down on 2 airplanes. And at that point, they didn't have any idea whether anybody was going to be interested. So when it came time for us to take off to Rome, Posey O'Connor, my friend, who's now in heaven looking down on us, she and I coordinated the pilgrimage. And we had 410 people got on that airplane that night. So, when we were planning the pilgrimage, Father Pritt called all these people together because we found out that you have to have so many doctors, so many nurses, so many, well, we had priests and we had nuns and we had our Camp Happiness counselors because we wanted a variety of people on this airplane. And so he had this meeting called Families Together. So we were sitting there, I'm taking notes because that's what I was, the secretary. And I heard him say, Posey O'Connor, would you coordinate the east side? And she said yes. And I'm taking all this down in shorthand. Then he said, Anita, will you coordinate the west side? And she said yes. So then there was more conversation going on, and I was taking down the notes, and I heard them say, Pearl, do you have a passport? Do I have a passport? Of course not. Never even thought of a passport. And they said, well, you better get one in a hurry because you're going to represent the United States at the international meetings. And that was the beginning of a beautiful life that only Marie Elaine probably could add to. So anyway, my first visit was to Rome and to an international meeting. And John kept saying, you have to go home and start communities. Well, we tried that, Posey and I would call people together, but we just couldn't get a community started. And he would say, Carol, you're not getting it. You go home and you start communities. Carol. And so anyway, that just kept on, and we went to Rome, we came back, and we couldn't get community started. So then at another international meeting, and I was in many different countries, and you never know what's going to happen when you say yes to the Lord. So, he said, we were planning another pilgrimage, and he said, should we go to Jerusalem? Well, he sent somebody to Jerusalem, and they came back, and they said, no, it's not going to work. So, so then we decided on Our Lady of Lourdes. But John was a very smart man, and he said, Carol, and as well as all the other people that were there, you go home and you say that the only people who are eligible to go to the next pilgrimage to Lourdes must belong to a community for a year or more. Well, guess what? I went home and I told people that the Oden family were the first, and after that it was just 1, 2, 3. We ended up with 13 in the Cleveland-Akron area when it came time to go to Lourdes. And again, we had 214 people on that pilgrimage. So that's the way I got started. And I just thank God for that every day. Father Jim O'Donnell was a beautiful priest and well-loved priest in the Cleveland area, working with the poor. And all he did was put an ad in the paper for money. And he got so much money, it was unbelievable, that we were able to help families go, plus take it was called Sugar Creek, a place where just young men lived, sort of a state hospital type place. It wasn't good at all. So all of these fellows got to go to Rome with us. So anyway, there are just so many stories that I could tell, but the first community to start was the Oden family. Carol Oden is in a wheelchair, and she's probably well known by everybody here that has met her. You never forget her, that's for sure. So they were the first. So Posey and I were there. Posey and I traveled all over the United States and talked about faith and life and helped people get the community started when they wanted to. And it was just a fantastic life meeting so many people, so many of you here tonight, that I'm just thanking God that I got to talk with you and see you again. And so unless you have some questions, that's about my life with faith and life.